Now the scene's about to open. So here we go.
Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is a late night. We just got done in one of my rooms. Shout out Thomas Mosley at Diamond Sports Bar. We had our Grown and Sexy Comedy Showcase. There was some confusion as far as some dates. There was some double bookings. Things got shuffled around, but fortunately, a crowd built up there towards the end of the show for the next show. We ended up doing the show late. Had a great set. But with us tonight, one of the soldiers who worked that room tonight, comedian Loose Cannon. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
So,
it was a great time, Diamond Sports Bar, where they smoke Reggie, but the Negroes are loud. Let me tell you, my kind of crowd,
you know what? I've discovered that in a lot of these situations, because I have what I'm formulating. It's good. Like I jokingly, but not jokingly, I'm calling this the Electric Bill Money Tour.
Yeah.
And I'm working basically a circuit of small rooms that pay small amounts, a little bit bigger amounts. The bar over here, the new one that we got, it's got cucumber money on it.
Yeah.
So that means we can work out some bigger, with two comics, we can pay them. And by doing it this way, it's not getting a lot, but it's moving some stuff around, especially since it's still kind of close. But it's also getting you in front of different people. So a lot of times, comics that usually kill in a one room because the crowd's attentive and they listen, then they go to a bar where it's more or less, you're just there to kind of have background noise almost. Like for instance, you did Cucumber with me before she broke up with me.
Yeah.
So, and shout out Cucumber, I ain't mad at you. It just wasn't a good fit.
Yeah.
You're conservative, right wing, Christian. I'm me. Meaning I'm too dirty. I was just too dirty for her. Me and my friends were too rowdy.
Yeah.
We couldn't fit in. She would love every once in a while dip her toe. But she doesn't want to bring us around and me and my boys are gonna go and visit.
She ain't trying to turn up. She ain't trying to get turned out.
She ain't trying to piss everybody off with a credit card that works inside the restaurant. But the point is you get different scenarios. You get thrown different curveballs, so that when you do get you also are a touring comedian, you get booked in real legit improv and side splitters and whatever. So the point is
I receive it.
Okay. When you get in there, the room it's so much nicer.
Yeah, it really is. Ironically, I'm more comfortable in front of a large audience.
Mm-hmm.
If I can't wait to play an arena one day, and I'm gonna walk out there with a smile and. And I'm gonna walk out there. I won't be nervous at all. What makes me nervous, I find out, is the small rooms. Because you can really play and have fun and manipulate a larger audience. The great Charlie Murphy, before he passed, started getting in the stand. I saw a clip of him speaking, and he was talking about when Eddie Murphy first started doing stand-up. He wanted to fight everybody that didn't laugh at Eddie jokes, but somebody had to slow him down and explain to him, if you get 50% of your audience laughing, mm-hmm. then you're doing good. So I usually get mostly everyone laughing at a comedy show in a large room. I still know that. One of the things I like about big rooms is I know that you can do a joke and it's only for a certain demographic of people. I do a lot of what I call grown and sexy jokes. You got to be 30 years old or older to understand. I do the joke about how O.J. Simpson being out of jail is making people uncomfortable. Like Lorena Bobbitt owning a hot dog stand, So you got to have been alive in the last 3 decades to really know what I'm talking about. Or she might not know.
Indeed. So where are you from originally, Mr. Cannon, if you don't mind? Unless you're part of the Witness Protection Program.
I'm from Sanford, Florida, aka Bow Key, and born and predominantly raised. I've lived all over the place. I've lived in Daytona Beach. I've lived in Orlando. I've lived in West Volusia. I went to jail here in Marion County one time. I spent about 2 months here. One of the worst things that had ever happened to me in my life. So I don't like to count it, but I guess you could say I lived here for about 2 months technically. But Sanford, Florida is where I currently reside, and the day I become a national touring act, I'ma still be home because I like the fact that it's no place like home. See, right now, people in Sanford, they know me for no reason whatsoever. I go in the supermarket and people always want to wave, hey, So if I fell off tomorrow, if I became a superstar, fell off tomorrow, they gonna treat me the same. If I blow up tomorrow, they'll congratulate me, but I'm still the same person they went to school with. They ain't gonna want my autograph. I'll be able to go in the store and all that stuff.
So I'm in the driving business.
Right.
And I know I drive a lot, and I drive a lot. I really like Altamont Springs to Sanford. I like that route. I hardly now have been going at all to Orlando because Tampa, there's more money in it for me, faster money. And I got a homeboy that lives out there. So, but I make $25, $30 an hour, and I haven't missed yet. I drop off. It's different out there. It's very different.
But at the same time, if you're not from the area, you're gonna have a different point of view about it. When I go to Chicago and I meet, people that live and are from Chicago, my point of view is different from theirs. They might, somebody from the South Side, when I meet them, they don't really think as highly of it as I do. Because see, when you say Chicago to me, first thing I think about is downtown Chicago, because that's where I've mostly been in Chicago. So to me, I think it's fantastic. But some other people in Chicago don't really think it's high.
Well, like I said, being that where I'm located, because I know from Sanford to Tampa is way too far away.
Yeah.
But like where I'm located, I'm like it's a perfect Y. I could go either way.
Yeah.
So I've just been heading down the Tampa way. But the long story short is there's an old side of Sanford that's right up on the water.
Yeah, the historic district, downtown Sanford.
And then it looks like, well, I know what it looks like. It's what happened is the urban sprawl, because now Claremont is considered an Orlando suburb. And Sanford became, to me, it looks like the high and mighty built castles.
Well,
there's some neighborhoods out there that'll take your breath away.
Yeah, if you know the history of Sanford, you would know that if there were no Sanford, there'd be no Orlando.
Right.
Sanford was the mecca,
the original
it was the transportation hub, and all the produce and all the freight came to Sanford first before it went to the surrounding areas, Tampa and all that, and all that good stuff. It would come down from the river, or by train and stuff from Jacksonville and all that good stuff, and then they would distribute it where it needed to go and all that good stuff. So,
it was Disney that pulled it south.
Yeah. So, if you talk to people in Sanford today, we will quickly, tell you, somebody's like, oh, if you're staying in Sanford, you'd be like, oh, I live in Orlando. We're like, no, you live in Sanford. This is Sanford. Orlando's over there.
We're South Marion County, Summerfield.
Yeah.
And like when somebody says where we were at, shout out Thomas Mosley Diamond, when you say, oh, Ocala, they don't correct you, but they're actually in their mind thinking, no, it's the shores. So it's that whole thing, like you just said with Sanford. Yeah. So,
well, like I said, to me, Ocala, the biggest thing in Marion County, and the whole county for me.
Oh no. So do you want to tell that story?
Oh man, I don't need to get into great details, but you
had an unfortunate run.
I had got pulled over when I was riding dirty back in my day. When I was out here thugging it, ride without no insurance and no registration. And long story short, I had to do 60 days in the Marion County jail, and boy, it gave me some of the worst memories of my life. It felt like 12 years a slave. They put me out on the farm one day. Y'all got you might not know this, but unfortunately I do. But y'all got this university farm. It's called the University of Farm because it's ran by the University of Florida.
Right.
And that's where they, do all the experimental crops and all that stuff, and and do all the hydroponics and all of that stuff. But what you don't know is they have free labor out there planting all of that stuff, and they had me out there planting stuff, and and they standing over you telling you to plant faster, work faster, and every time they did it, I just heard like a Negro spiritual in the back of my mind or something like that, and I just knew that this wasn't the place for me,
Yeah, unfortunately, the old motto was if the blue lights catch you behind you, haul ass till you get to Lake County and then pull over. That's the rules.
Well, because I was too far. I
know that, but
and I didn't know what 75 was at the time. That was my first time coming through here,
right.
And I just, I know 441 goes all the way into Orange County,
right.
And goes to 46, so I can go into Seminole County. So I was just gonna take 441 to 46, and that was a bad plan. If I would have known better, I would have took 75 down to Wildwood or something like that, or to the Turnpike or something like that. That's what I do now, because I ain't trying to be caught in Marion County.
That's no joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, the courthouse, for the rest of the universe, both counties, Marion County and Lake County, there's a little history lesson in my area, like you just gave me with Sanford.
Yeah.
Both of them built their courthouses at the same time. It was like this. There was almost like a competition. Lady Lake is the Grand Belle of Central Florida, so it's like the lacy leggings, the Cypress Gardens look. Where Marion County is conservative, redneck, horse, thoroughbreds, people who control the money, keep it low. That's why big industry never makes it into this area. That's political, my bad. But the point is, when both of them were built and the grand opening came, the same guy who built Orange County Jail over in John Young, that dark gray with like the real thin windows, real imposing looking, that's the Marion County Jail. If you go to Lake County Jail, it looks like Gone with the Wind, rolling greens, like there's carriages out front, free parking. If you have a ticket that's late, like you're gonna get
paid. So I take it you've been to jail a lot.
I've been to Marion County once, and just to show you my street cred, it's because I was failure to appear at a court date because I thought you just
got... No need to tell all your business.
No, I'm wide open about it because it's a joke, because when they came to arrest me, I'm like, are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I got the ticket paid. See, I turned the receipt in, and they're like, nah, fool, you gotta go to court and show that you did that. And I'm like, all right, well, no problem, I'll call him on Monday. He's like, nah, fool, it's by law, I gotta take you to jail. I'm like, jail? I gotta be to work.
Yeah.
So I had to call work.
Them people don't care.
So the point is, the joke is, if you, like you said, you're getting late, you call Lake County Jail, and you say, man, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be like, can you give me till 5 o'clock? And they'll be like, no, honey, no problem. You can just wait till the following Monday. We got you in the computer written in. Oh, okay, thank you, ma'am. Marion County at 12:01 the morning of. If that thing is not paid in full with a receipt, automatically a warrant issued for your arrest.
I believe
Welcome to Marion County, bitch.
I believe that. I remember when I had my first day of court, I had trouble finding the place, because I'm from out of town and everything. I had to drive quite a bit of ways, right? And I showed up to court late, and I never will forget Judge McCoon, and I with a name like McCoon, I knew, that this was not going to be a pleasant experience, right? So Judge McCoon, he had a problem with me being late, and I tried to explain to him that, hey, I'm from out of town, I know where it was, and the courthouse has been here for 40-something years. I'm like, well, I ain't never been here before, so it wouldn't matter how long it's been here. So what he did was he ordered me to come back to court on time the very next day. And he told me if I was 1 minute late, it would be a bench warrant out for me. So, he had me come at 7 o'clock. I had to sign in for 7 o'clock. Little did I know, court wasn't until 8 o'clock. So I had to wait a whole hour, right?
That's exactly what he was doing.
Oh man, I was hot, but I'm gonna tell you what cooled me off. This is kind of a unique story. So, here it is, I'm hot, I got something I want to say, and I'm the last one on the docket, right? So I had something I want to say, but this guy, he was from Alabama, he's in a wheelchair, right? and it's his turn. They got him on video camera, because they ain't actually bring him to the courthouse.
Right.
So it was a video court that day, right? And McCoon's running through it, and he gets to this guy, and the guy he read off his charges and asked him how did he plead, and he was like, not guilty, sir. He's like, all right, very well. He was like, we're gonna set your bond. We see that he says, where do you live? He says, I live in Alabama. He said, all right, well, we're gonna set your bond at $20,000 for lack of ties to the community, right? Which means that since you don't live here, they consider you a flight risk. So they jack up your bond or whatnot, so that you make it harder for you to get out and run or whatever have you. So with that being said, the guy goes, why my bond so high? He's like, well, sir, you don't have any ties to the community, sir. So you're considered a flight risk. He was like, it ain't got to be so high. He was like, well, this is the bond. Is there anything else we can do? Guy went to sell out. He's like, man, forget that judge, man. He can make my bond $30,000. Judge McCoon goes, very well, sir. $30,000. Still selling up, man. Oh, punk judge, you can make my bond $40,000. Very well, sir. It got to 60 grand, man. It got to 60 grand. So when I got to the stand, I went ahead and I was like, hey man, I'm sorry about yesterday, man. I was just bullshit.
That's right.
Once I finished what I needed to finish, like I told you the only reason why I come to Marion County, or if I'm driving to Georgia or Gainesville and I'm on 75 and I'm getting on out of here. I don't really make no stops here.
So I find you to be a bit more calculating than some of the other people. So I'm wondering, did you come into this with a plan? Because you were rattling something off, but you gotta fail to realize that I'm getting too old to be listening to that music so goddamn loud. So you and I were talking, but I only could hear half of it like it was in a bowl because that damn music was rattling my teeth.
I remember the conversation, but
we were talking about, you had said something about you were doing you had been getting some gigs and that you were interested in music, but you had to plan one mic. It's easier as a comedian.
Yeah.
Remember? And then, no.
My comedy journey, I feel like is a unique one.
Right. So let's expand on that, please.
Yeah, it's definitely different than a lot of people. From what I can see in the time that I've been serious about comedy, because I feel like I've been a comic a long time. I was always the class clown. I remember when I lived in Daytona Beach, I went to this school called Campbell Middle School. It was right in the middle of the project over there on Keith Street. And I was more like the campus clown for my grade. I remember we'd have lunch. Like each grade had 2 lunches. So half of your grade would be at lunch with you. And I was like the roast battle master. Right. I was untouchable, until I got to high school and you start maturing and you start focusing on other things and your friends y'all stop cracking jokes and stuff because you got to work and do all this good stuff. So, but I remember while I was at Campbell, like me and some of the fellas, we get into these snap battles and then everybody would crowd around in a circle. It'd be me and then the administrators would come over because they thought it was a fight going on because it would draw that much of a crowd, but no, it was just me and another guy who were having a peaceful snap battle.
That's funny.
So that's kind of some of the origins of my comedic roots. And I remember when I was in 9th grade at the Great Seminole High School right there on Ridgewood Avenue in Sanford, Florida. I had not 9th grade, it was 10th grade. I had a I'm doing a podcast.
Look at this. This is what the universe likes.
I'll call you back. Okay. But like I was saying, so when I went to Seminole High School, I took a drama class just for fun one time. And I was talking to some of my classmates at the time. I was telling them that, I like stand up and, people always wanted to me to do it. They thought it was so funny. So, I figured I'd try it out. There was a stage there, there was an audience, my classmates. So, I would try it out on them. That was a long time ago. And then, over the years, people always like I got a cousin, her name is Debbie, and Debbie always wanted me to do stand-up. And I would never do it because I always believed that stand-up was just a different skill set. I think there's a difference between me and you being funny in a conversation and then a person being funny to an audience. And there really is a technique behind it. Just like with basketball, there's fundamentals to a jump shot. There's fundamentals to joke writing and telling and delivering the joke. So I would never do it, but before I tried comedy, to answer your question, I tried concert promotions. Okay. So, and I read up on that a lot. So I understood a lot of the business about, getting butts and seats and, what gets a talent buyer to book talent is, the number of seats, because every entertainer is a franchise. I always say that you can go to a corner lot and you can build a sub shop there, and it may work, but a lot of times it may not. But if you put a Subway there, it's gonna work every time because Subway already got that brand recognition. If Prince was resurrected from the dead and did an arena tour, a lot of people gonna go buy tickets for that arena to see Prince resurrected from the dead.
No stress with that.
Because it's an awareness thing. Everybody is aware of this individual's art form. So I understood that coming in, and also I was a comedic rapper once. I wanted to make just funny songs that people would like. No, more like my idea was like more Afro Man kind of, that funny stuff. So, but I had my own style. Like I had songs like "Shake It Like a Church Fan." I
parody stuff.
Yeah, I had just fun party stuff. I made a lot of fun party music. So that's like that's where I got that's where I learned a lot about the entertainment business and got comfortable really entertaining other people. But with the music thing, I learned that one reason why a lot of talented songwriters never really make it is they don't have good production. Right. And that's what I like about comedy, being a stand-up comic, is all I need is one mic, maybe two mics like you got here, because I can get a room about 20 people, a small room, and do a routine in front of them, and one mic will pick up the audience laughter, one to get my voice clearly, and you don't have to do a terrible amount of mixing and mastering like you do with a track. So
what I got now with the smaller PA, but it's like an entry level PA with the big speakers that I have.
Yeah.
You can pipe directly into it with the video camera, so your voice is crystal clear. And then we now have a second camera that sits in towards the audience with a microphone on that, and that's where we get the laughter track, and then we line that up and edit it in.
Yeah.
So I see what you mean by that.
Yeah, it's not as complicated versus, if you might have a beat, as far as making music, and track by track, that beat alone might have 20 tracks on it. You got to mix all of that properly. You got to master all of that properly. Then you got to get your voice just right.
Yeah, no. So it's just me. I was just thinking about it.
Yeah, so it can be challenging, and then also I feel like music versus comedy. I feel like it's easier to get started as a comic, but I feel like it's easier to blow up as a musician.
You really think so?
I think so.
With all this competition now, like with the new format being,
I'm not saying make sales. I'm saying just get famous.
Right.
It's easier to get famous.
Well, we're going to talk about social media here shortly, but that I see what you're saying.
Because they're always looking for new musicians. I feel like you got whole video like Vivo. I see mostly music videos.
Oh yeah.
You don't see stand up on Vivo.
Right. No.
You see what I'm saying? There's not a lot of great stand up outlets. Right. From what I can see. Now I do live under a rock, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Basically the whole concept, based on my guru Joe Rogan, is that 4,000 you monetize. And based on the research, give or take, around 80,000 subscribers will equal somewhere around $3,500, $3,800 to $4,000 a month, depending on the algorithms. I don't get all that shit. I just know what the kind of the magic number is. So, in addition to that, I launch everything, but that's audio only. You're doing your YouTube stuff. So, the catch is this. Everything has to kind of sync up. For me, this is my approach. I'm trying to get people to fall in love with me like a character. Like, they know my comedy is racy, but it's like comes from a good place. Like, I'm not really a brutal guy. I don't beat up on anybody. Yeah. So I become kind of like a lovable character, and I get in YouTube, because I'm a YouTube fanatic. YouTube Red, shout out YouTube Red, because it's so you can become inundated in their lives with free content.
Yeah.
And you become a part of their life, not just a little blippy blip about how happy you are or whatever. Like, these conversations here, they get personal with you, right? So then I have less than 100 people on my YouTube channel, but I have hundreds of views because I post everything on Facebook and Instagram. Now I have 7,000 on my social media platform, between 5,000 on Facebook and almost 1,900 on Instagram.
Well, let me get 500 people right now to go to my YouTube page. That's comedian Loose Cannon, all 3 words.
Keep going. Well, we're gonna have everything. We're gonna link everything.
Subscribe to my channel. I need you.
But here's the trick, though. What you really need, more important than monetization.
I really do need you. Go ahead on and subscribe to my YouTube channel, comedian Loose Cannon.
The thing is like, once you got tonight was a weird one, because normally the dates aren't fucking getting changed. But we've been averaging, when I do post now, I'm averaging, and I'm not joking, and I'm not patting myself on the back. It comes from hard work. We're averaging between 25 and 40 people for a show that walk in at 9 o'clock for the show. They're not there at 8:55, and at 9:05 there's 40 people there sitting down ready for the show.
Yeah.
So when you're getting these situations now, what's happening is, if you can get, let's say you and I, the YouTube loves us, right? The universe loves us. Man, that was an interesting interview. I want to have him back, blah, blah, blah. Then we do something with you and I where we go and do a shirt with you maybe wearing your thing down, your opening bit. Listen.
You got to come to a show to see your opening bit now.
Okay, well then
that's kind of a live secret there,
But then a picture. No, I didn't say anything.
There's a live secret there, folks. If you want to know what we're talking about, you got to come see me live.
So listen to me though. The thing is we can get the shirts, and I'm open and honest with the universe because they love me. They're gonna support me.
Yeah.
I can get the shirts in bulk for $6 a shirt for $100. We sell them for $25. Limited time offer for 60 days. And it's a limited time offer, Loose Cannon, Articulate Barbarian, collab, we'll call it. And then we'll split the money down the middle. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, that if you have 7,000 on your social media and you put the shirt out, you tell them it's $25 a shirt or 2 for $45. And then people will buy it, not because they're like, well, you're making too much money. They're like, oh shit, we're so inundated in your life, we will order it. If even 100 people were to order that, bro. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the money you get with YouTube.
Yeah, I believe.
And all your social media.
I'm actually reading a book on YouTube right now, and I picked YouTube because I feel like it has a more understandable, streamlined path to revenue. And I feel like if I invest all my time into a social media platform, I need to have a clear path to revenue. So I'm reading I'm reading YouTube for Dummies right now.
I feel you. I saw your post.
Yeah, so and it's really helping me. I started with the basics now. I'm trying to read up, I'm reading a section about, what kind of equipment I need to get. I'm taking it one step at a time. So, but once I get it all together and get, my subscribers, you need 1,000 subscribers. Once again, that's comedian Loose Cannon on YouTube. After you done watching this wonderful podcast, The Articulate Barbarian,
and we'll link you.
Go ahead on and hit subscribe. Once you type in comedian and LOOS, I usually am the first thing that come up, but once again, that's comedian Loose Cannon, all 3 words when you type it in. Once you get 1,000 subscribers, once I get 1,000 subscribers, I think that's when I start really, putting out good pranks and stuff. And but I want to be known. I don't want to do a lot of skits though. You know, I don't want to be one of, I respect the people that do it, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to be known for doing skits on the internet, because I'm starting to notice a trend. Because like I say, stand-up is its own art form, and I notice a lot of people, they make these skits on the internet, and they're funny to their friends. They're funny, they do funny things on the internet for people to see, and the videos go viral, and they'll get booked to come out to a comedy club and perform. All right, and like I say, they don't have an idea, or they don't have a stand-up background. So now when it from the business standpoint, it's an idea, because they're gonna put the butts in the seat, we talked about earlier. That's all it's about.
Almost like Comic-Con kind of
But
stuff.
from an art perspective, you got these people that are known off the internet, and they come to a comedy club, and they need to do some stand-up, and they don't have any knowledge of the skill set. They haven't took the time to learn the art form, and they don't do as well in that setting, because the internet and the stage are two different platforms.
Right, no doubt.
So what I would like to be known for is not for the skits, but for the stand-up. That way you feel confident coming out and knowing that, hey, I see this guy on the internet all the time doing stand-up, rocking the mic, doing shows, like you see me and everything.
Sure.
And I know he's gonna be funny. And guess what? When you show up, I'm just as funny. In fact, I'm funnier because I feel like every comic is funnier live. People I grew up watching on TV, they were so much funnier live.
Right.
So much funnier live. Especially at the late shows. Every time I go see a comic, a national act, I like to go to the late show. I remember one time I saw Gary Owens live, and Gary did like a whole hour extra stand-up at a late show.
Gary Owens just performed in Ocala.
Oh, really?
Just a few months ago.
Okay. Shout out to Gary Owens, for being just a funny guy.
Yeah, and he's got a good gig, man. Actually, it's kind of a weird. I went on a real rabbit hole with him, because he was coming, and all the black folk were going nuts for this white boy. And then when I researched it out and I saw the whole story, but like I said, he's got a great timing. Yeah. Timing is everything. Like I'm working on a bit right now.
I think Gary, what's unique to me about Gary Owens is he's the only white entertainer that has the crossover.
Right.
That's crazy. Just how segregated we are as a culture in our country. The fact that
no doubt.
Somebody like Gary would have to cross over. It's strange in a way. So.
Well, it goes both ways. I mean, listen. It's not for nothing. It is what it is. But I know a guy who goes to film school in Orlando, and we're talking all cultures are there. Black people, Indian people, and all of them are casting white-only movies, because nobody's going to accept another movie. Now, there are some groundbreakers that are coming through, like Black Panther, that are breaking the mold. Yeah. But by and large, and for the most part, it's kind of crazy that you have an Indian girl or an Indian guy, full-on Hindu Indian.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't. It's like you were just saying what you just said. It's a sad commentary that he has to cross over.
Me and a gentleman were having a debate. He's a white guy. He was telling me he doesn't believe in white privilege. And I was like, well, and my answer to him was just turn on the television and scroll through the channels. And look at what you see on television.
How old was this person?
He was around about the same age as me, a little bit older. And I told him, I was like, look at the commercials.
Wow. Listen, you're a damn fool if you don't believe in white privilege. Damn fool. I would just be like, you're just trying to be obtuse. Yeah. You're doing you have to be the heel like you're goddamn Ric Flair, but don't give me that bullshit if you don't believe white privilege. And I'm white. I grew up in a half German home, and we weren't raised in any color. But at the same time, I could ride that fence. I could break it down and be Latin, but I could also white it up, throw a golf shirt on, part my hair right, and I'm good. Oh. You know what I mean? So.
This is a shocker. All this time I thought you was Puerto Rican. This is breaking news right here on the...
It's not that breaking. I'm light-skinned and macchiato, bro. It's not that
This is breaking news right here.
But the thing about it is I got to living like I was in both worlds. Yeah. So the thing about it is I saw white privilege. I was a part of white privilege. I lived white privilege. Yeah. We had a black housekeeper. but not because she was black, but because we had kids and we traded her work because my parents owned a daycare center.
Yeah.
So she just cleaned our house twice a week, and we gave 3 kids free daycare for ever, as long as she was there.
Yeah.
So it worked out to be a good deal because she cleaned houses all around that goddamn block.
Well, yeah.
So it worked out.
That's
good.
something I learned. There was a movie. It was called The Help, and those stories are real stories. My grand aunt was a housekeeper.
Sure.
When she died, I didn't know that. Here's how I found out. When she died, we're at her house, where she raised her children, and my dad and my uncle and my aunt even, and where the family would always come to and everything. Now we're over there, and these blonde people show up. And they stick out like a sore thumb. Because
little ones.
No, just
blonde people.
Just blonde people.
Okay.
Me personally, I'm trying to get away from certain descriptors, because I really do believe we're all one, and I'm really trying to move past just race in general.
But 2 white kids in a house full of black people stand out, or 2 white people.
Yeah, so a white family came to my aunt's funeral,
right.
And but what I noticed was my cousins, my aunt's children, came to him quickly and hugged him and everything, and consoled him and everything, and they were crying and stuff. So come to find out, my aunt was the housekeeper, and just like in these movies about that particular point in time,
right.
Those black housekeepers were like the nannies to the white children.
Absolutely.
So that, and I found out that was definitely true in my aunt's case, where they sat and they gave stories about how that was their mother.
Right.
My aunt was their mother.
Right.
They got their first spankings and stuff from my aunt and all of this stuff, and they just had nothing but kind stuff to say, and and you find, and it goes back to what I was saying, where I'm just trying to move past all of that, and just working on the man in the mirror and whatnot. You get talking to these people, and they share their experiences about my aunt or whatnot. You realize we all family.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that's one thing, just to kind of shake things up. That's one reason why I hate this in comedy. One thing I notice is this U word that floats around. I hate the U word. You know what I'm saying? To me, yes. I feel like the U word is the new N word. I'm
glad you bring this up.
Yeah.
This is actually a topic we have already addressed before, because it's from different perspectives.
Yeah.
And I actually wrote a bit of.
Why can't I just be a comic? Why when they see me, I'm an urban comic? Why can't I just be a comic?
Okay, see.
Why can't I just be funny? You know what I'm saying? But why do I have to be urban? Right. First of all, I don't know what that is, because to me, funny is funny. I don't care what you look like. If you're funny, you're funny. Mm-hmm. But because I look like this, and I tell jokes, and I have a flamboyant personality, I'm urban. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, a white male comic can have a flamboyant personality. I don't even curse, as you know. Mm-hmm. You've seen my act many times. Right. I don't even curse, but if a white male comic wants to curse and have a flamboyant personality, they won't say that he's urban. You know what they say about him? He's blue.
Blue, right.
So, but if I do the exact same thing, I'm urban. So that's why when I just noticing that's why I'm like, I feel like that's just a way to segregate. And they've been doing it for the longest, But the funny thing is, the so-called mainstream is infatuated with urban culture. Rock and roll was not mainstream.
Right.
It's mainstream now.
Right.
But if you study the roots of rock and roll,
sure.
And what the people look like that were the pioneers of it, they don't look like the people that listen to and play rock and roll today.
Right.
See,
the thing about it though is I remember, and I'm considered an urban comic. And
I don't.
But time out. So let me just give you the perspective from a 42-year-old guy.
Okay.
I remember when urban.
First of all, because me and a couple other fellas, we are lost. Like we don't. What is urban? To me, comic is a comic.
I understand.
Okay,
but in this part of town, and the reason why, like for instance, certain venues are looking for black comedians because they're young and are old enough to remember when urban was a good term, like it was a sophisticated term. In other words, you had, and I'm not gonna bring. I'm just trying to give you from my perspective.
I understand.
You had ignorant black people who acted a fool, that were dangerous, that white people were scared around, and then you had people who had law degrees, who were nurses, and they were part of sororities, and they had culture in their lifestyle, and they still go to that neighborhood and they live in that community, and they didn't want to be called. They didn't want to be looked at as low rent, so they enjoyed the term urban because urban was like a sophisticated term. I'm only breaking it down for you based on my memory of it going down.
I understand your point of view, but we live in modern day.
Correct. I bet you when you.
So I just don't feel the need to segregate or isolate. A group of entertainers.
Agreed. But I'd be willing to bet the person who's looking for an urban comic is in his mid to late 40s and is really looking for it, and he's not meaning to disrespect.
I understand where you're coming from, but I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the grander scheme of things, where you got like some comedy clubs that won't book certain people, and what they'll tell you is you're too urban.
Right.
Well, what are you trying to say? There's two definitions of urban.
You're too ghetto.
There's the textbook definition. It could be, urban could be a style, or urban could,
I think it was the outside of the city. The urban sprawl. I think it's where
there's other uses for, but predominantly it's a style or a textbook definition I read. Because I'm telling you, what do you mean I'm too urban?
No.
So one definition reads is in pertaining to black people. They'll say urban. So are you saying, either way it looks bad when you say you're too urban? Are you saying that you're too black, or are you saying you got too much style? Because either way that just looks bad on you.
Style. The white middle class kids are suburban, which is the neighborhood past urban. If this is Paramore, Pine Hills, that's urban. Now you can be doctor
what you really but you falling in what I'm saying though, because notice what you just said.
If you're in the country, you're in rural.
The white kids, they're suburban, but the black kids, their neighborhood is urban
if they live in that part of town.
Okay, but why isn't it just a neighborhood?
You're right. but what I'm saying is
why isn't it just a neighborhood?
I don't think the 45-year-old guy who's booking the room is even trying, like, he doesn't look at it from a grand scheme because he lives in Summerfield or the Shore.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
This just ain't in,
I see
this area. This is across the country. Other comics that got the same story, and I just don't. To me, comedy is comedy.
But realize that from my perspective, I book more black people than anybody. I don't even see it.
But once again, this ain't. I'm speaking in general. Right. This is not an indictment on you in particular.
No. But I actually I think urban when I think black comedians, because I was raised on Bernie Mac, Steve Harvey, and they considered themselves urban.
I think they might just consider themselves as as a comedian first.
Now
that just so
now the terms have changed and things have gotten different. But I'm talking about when I was when Eddie Murphy and Cedric the Entertainer and those guys were blowing up, they were considered urban comics. And what's his name? Gabriel Iglesias has a joke about being a Latin comic. He had to go to India to be called "This American comic is bringing you his comedy in India." And he goes, "I had to go to the other side of the world at 20 years later to be called an American comic." And he was always called a Latino comic.
But see, like I said, that goes back to what I'm saying. In our country's culture, for some reason, for a non-white entertainer, they feel a need to to box.
Agreed.
And to me, that's unnecessary.
I agree.
And that's something that I would like to see change.
And shout out CC Redmond. We had this conversation, and to be honest with you, now that I've heard it more than just from her, this is like a big, I guess, an official apology, because I kind of downplayed it, because I was like, CC, they're looking for black comedians. I don't know any other way to say it except I said they were looking for urban.
To me,
sophisticated.
I'm gonna speak for myself, because I try not to ever speak for all black people. Now, there's some things that we're just unanimous on, but for me, go ahead on and just say it. No, I know how you feel. Go ahead on and say it. I want to book a black comic for whatever reason. Right. I am a comedian that is black. Right. I mean, I can't change that. Right. There is no sex change for melanin, if you will.
If an owner, a club owner says he wants a specific, I go and get him what he wants.
And that's understandable. But
it's not even a debate. I'm agreeing with you. I really am.
But as an industry standard, like I say, this conversation, like I say, as I began to speak about it initially, I was like, just kind of shake things up, because this is a podcast. People are watching. They want to be entertained, and they want to see relevant, pertinent conversation. Right. And you interview comics, so we can have a conversation about my comedy in particular, comedy as a whole, likes and dislikes. Right. And so right about now, that's one of my pet peeves about the comedy industry as a whole. Like I say, you on the other hand, on a micro level, you might have picked up that bad habit, but before this has been going on for a long time. Like I say, once upon a time, rock and roll was considered urban music, whatever that is. You know what I'm saying? So, but I don't understand why they couldn't have just been regular musicians.
The thing is the value in this conversation is for me to let you say what you need to say, and for me to hear it and understand. Because again, I'm still trying to downplay it. Even with our conversation, I'm going, wait a minute, he's fucking right. You might as well let him be right, and because I'm trying to defend. It's a bad habit. It's a bad habit, and it's a tick.
Yeah, so many people. It's called erroneous behavior. When you know something is bad, when you learn a bad behavior, you just won't let it go. Right. For example, we had some neighbors to the south that educated me one day. Right. I met some people from South America, and they asked me, they was like, why do people in the U.S. Call themselves Americans? Because I was like, we live in America. This is America, and we are Americans. Right. And they was like, but we're Americans too. They say, they told me, they said America is a continent, not a country. Right. Now, I understood that. Right. And so I've been making an effort to refer to our country more accurately, more often as the United States of America. Right. We are United States citizens. Right. We're Americans, but Canadians and everybody else, all the other nations of South America, they also are Americans. Right. But you cannot get some people to accept that. You can't get some people, you got some people, they're one of the most overly romanticized things in our country today is patriotism. No doubt. And you got some diehard, patriots that just will not let the they won't get off the romanticism train. Right. They're Americans. No one else is an American. Canadians are not Americans. They're they're Canadians, but they're just as American as you are. Or I am, or anyone else that's born in the United States is. Right. Someone born in Chile, they're American too. Because as they point out, America is a continent. Right. It's not a country. Okay. There are many nations that make up America. But you cannot get people to accept that, you know. So because you've been programmed and wired a certain way is the point I'm making. That's just not a tangent. So a lot of people have been programmed to say things like, oh, you know, black guy, urban.
Right.
They're programmed that way. You see what I'm saying?
Right. I was saying it out of respect, not knowing that it was a wrong word.
You know what? Like I say, you know, and for some people, you know, because I've had this conversation in a barbershop. Some people don't mind, but I just don't. When you start, you know, like I say, there's many uses of the word. Urban could be a style, like, you know, where I live, we have a store called Urban Apparel. Right. You know, because, you know, the clothing is made from a certain style. My problem is when you start using the word to segregate people and hold them back. I mean, that's when I have a problem with it. And you see that a lot in comedy. It's like, oh, he's too urban, I can't work with him. It's like, what do you mean? What are you trying to say?
The thing, okay.
Not that you do that.
No, I know. I know it's all peace, love, colorblind, blah, blah, blah. Because actually, here's the thing, though. I have prejudice against millennial comedy. I don't like it. I don't like millennial rooms. I won't book millennial comics because I don't get it.
Well, that's more like
now. Now I'm asking you. I'm curious.
That's more biased than anything.
Bias. Okay. So if I approach you because I want to do this because you're saying like you're trying to make a mental note to say United States of America.
Yeah.
So if I come up to you, or if I would have gone up to CC and not trying to, because I'll tell you something else I don't feel comfortable saying. African American, because they're not from Africa. A lot of people they come from different parts. So African American, I think they tried it, but I still like saying black. And the thing is
I'm comfortable with black.
So if I was to say I have a guy who's looking for 5 black comics, that's better than urban.
To me, it is.
Okay.
I mean, now, boy, like I say, I'm gonna speak for me myself.
Right.
Now, some other person might prefer the U word, but like I say, to me, the U word is the new N word.
Right, but as I said, I assume the next time I see CC, I'm gonna apologize to her face because I doubt she's watching.
Hey, show CC, baby. You know.
Hey, he's schooling me, CC. I didn't mean to downplay it.
You know,
I talked down to her. Now that I'm thinking about it, I was like, oh, maybe you're tall and black. They're looking for sophisticated. Because here's the thing. I remember Blair Underwood. LA Law, good looking black dude.
Okay.
And it was he had like a clothing line at Gray Fox. Let's go old school. And it was urban sophisticated. And when I was going to do the room at Diamond, it was going to be called Us Urban Sophisticated. Because it was supposed to be like that, you know, because of that Black Nurses Rock sorority, and because these people are professionals.
You know, I feel like this. You know, like I said.
But now you've schooled me on this, so I really feel
like this. I feel like funny is funny. All right, and if you got a room in a certain area, and if the demographics of that area are mostly black, it'll be. That's what you're going to have. You're going to have a room and the customer base.
Yeah, but I'll use some other than urban. I'll use a different word. I don't even want to put it out there if it'll offend anybody. I don't want to offend anybody. I can find there's a lot of cool words.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm about promotion.
Yeah.
So I want catchy. It ain't I definitely don't want none of my catchy to be offensive to anybody. There's tons of fucking cool words.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I call that bitch Blair Underwood. No, I'm just kidding.
You like I say, you don't. There's no need to. You can see I'm black. 24/7, 365. When I die and they put me in the dirt, I'm gonna be black. You know what I'm saying? That's obvious, and there's no need to point that out all the time. There's no need to segregate me and the things I do because I'm black.
I'm not gonna correct anybody who's an older and who's trying to do it in a respectful way, but at the same time, I'm gonna make a mental note.
Yeah,
because this is a perspective.
But like I say, it's erroneous behavior. You don't realize that you may be the way you're using that word. It could be divisive, for lack of a better.
It's like saying midget when you don't, you're like, because I'm a certain age, it doesn't. I'm not saying it to be offensive.
Yeah.
But when it might be hurting somebody's feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And for me, I got nerves of steel. It's really not so much.
I get that.
It's really, it's really not so much as for some other people, and so I'll stand on it. I'm not backing down. It's really not so much as offensive to me as it's more of an inconvenience. You know what I'm saying? Because like I say, my biggest problem is it's like they're using that as a way to, like I say, to segregate or to downplay.
Right.
So notice, you might have a really successful national comic. He's really funny. He's box office, but they don't want to give him all his props, and they'll say, "Oh, he's too urban. He's an urban comic."
Right.
But the guy's box office. Right. He's funny. Fun to me. I'm sold on that. What's funny is funny. I don't care what you look like.
Right.
If I always use the example that if you see a Muslim slip and fall and bust his behind and he gets up, he's fine, you're gonna laugh. If a white man slips and falls, busts his behind and gets up and he's fine, you're gonna laugh. It doesn't matter what a person looks like. Oh, yeah. What's funny is funny. Yeah. You're not, if you see a Spanish guy, walking down the supermarket, he slips and falls and gets up, he's like, "Oh, everything's okay." You're not gonna be like, "That's kind of funny, but I can't laugh at that. He's too Hispanic."
No, you're right.
It never works that way. What's funny is funny. So I feel like as an industry or as an art form, as a culture, I personally would like to see comedy evolve to a point where you don't feel the need to look at someone else and point out the obvious thing about them and say that, "Oh, this is a Latin comic," or this is a black comic. Even though I am a black comic, like as I said earlier, I'm a comedian that just so happens to be black. Comics are comics. I don't care what you look like. What's funny is funny.
So let's change directions, because we can say funny is funny for another hour.
Yeah.
So what's next for you on the blueprint? Do you have a checkoff list? I know you've been unknotting some bird nests.
Yeah, right about now, like I say, I'm really focusing on building a YouTube channel. Check out Comedian Loose Cannon on YouTube. Hit subscribe. Like and comment. I got some stand up on there for you. I'm gonna try to maybe.
Now you're doing like little vlog posts that you put up, and I saw you talking to the camera on Facebook. Now you can upload those
on Instagram. I'm on Instagram, and Instagram allows you to share from Instagram onto Facebook.
Right.
So I do that a lot. If you follow me on Instagram as Comedian Loose Cannon, you'll see me more often. Because I feel like on Instagram, it's a platform where you just get up there and just say random things or express random thoughts, and I have a lot of random thoughts. Something I've been thinking about lately is the wealth cycle, if you will. I like to maybe just do. I know when I learned the wealth cycle, it was new to me because that wasn't something taught in my home like it was in a wealthy person's home. So, and I see a lot of people missing out on that. So just random things. If you follow me on Instagram, or random things I see, if I see something exciting or entertaining, I might just slap it on my Instagram. So,
who are your inspirations?
I don't really have. I got people that, if I must, because that's a popular interview question, and I think about it a lot. If I must have like an inspiration or something like that, if I must have a favorite comic or something like that, because to me, I like comedy as a whole.
Well, I wasn't even talking about comedy. I'm a big fan of Eric Thomas.
I understand that. I understand. So, like I say, I'm inspired by just life in itself.
Okay.
But like I said, I respect a lot of comics, but I just don't want to. My thing is, I don't want to follow a comic too closely and try to emulate them. I try to let a comic be a standalone being, if you will. A
history teacher in high school, an author that you really like. I'm not talking about a comedian necessarily. Like inspirations in your lifestyle. When you were a kid, did you see one of the people in television, you know, like Will Smith when he was a Fresh Prince. Was that like, damn, dude, I can make funny faces and dance like a fool with knobby knees?
Like I say, man, that's what makes me kind of unique in the sense that, you know, I'm a self-inspired person. You know what I'm saying? I'm a self-inspired person, you know, self-explanatory, you know. And that's it in a nutshell when it comes to that, you know.
Okay.
You know, but as far as like, you know, a lot of times, like I say, as far as like, in terms of comedy, when people say, do you got any comedic inspirations? Like I explained, I'm self-inspired, and then, you know, next thing is, you know, who's your tops and stuff, and a guy that jumps out to me is DL Hughley. You know?
I love DL.
Oh man, to me, DL is just in his own lane. You know,
he blew up. I saw him, the Charlie Murphy, right before he passed away. I went and saw him in Orlando.
Yeah.
And out of all the comics, although Cedric the Entertainer was the headliner, and he did a great job, but DL is so articulate, and I watched him from Kings of Comedy.
Yeah,
when he was the opening act.
Modern time.
Now he
DL
is so brilliant. He's brilliant.
You took the words right out of my mouth. DL Hughley is just so brilliant.
His wit is so razor sharp.
And razor sharp. And you know, and what's crazy, it's funny, like I watch a lot of DL Hughley interviews, and it seems like to me DL can't open his mouth without saying something funny. It could be a dead serious conversation, and he could be talking about a dead serious issue, and he'll take whatever that dead, it could be about police brutality and unarmed people dying, and he'll make a joke about how. And it'll be a good joke. He'll make a good joke about bad policemen shooting unarmed people. It'll be freaking hilarious, and still profound and still spot on. You know, as far as a point of view, you know.
You know who's an amazing comedian who takes dark shit and really makes you think, but funny? It's Doug Stanhope.
I have to look him up myself.
Oh man, he has a bit real quick. It's just 2 seconds.
Yeah,
he has a bit where he talks about the difference between mentally challenged and mentally ill, because he has a wife who is bipolar and will lose her mind and go running down the road and do crazy drugs and go in the hospital all the time, but he just keeps carrying on. And he talks about how in the state of Arizona where he lives, they're ranked 49th out of 50 states on taking care of government aid to the mentally ill. And then some mentally ill person shot the lady who wrote that into effect. And I'm butchering the joke, but he shot her in the face and made her from healthy to mentally ill. And he broke it down, the differences, but it's a shame that the policies aren't in place because of good government aid for the mentally ill. She's having to deal with her own, and it was a really profound, very layered and dark shit. I would never even go near that shit,
But
the ability to do that, Chris Rock, DL Hughley.
Yeah, but to me, DL Hughley is a standalone individual. He's just in his own lane.
He's a poet.
He said something very profound on the Breakfast Club one day. And it's a fact, there was he did this interview on the Breakfast Club, and he made a point that in terms of religion, the same people that gave black people Jesus also gave them the N-word too. So and there's a lot of facts about that, and to hear him just say it straight like that, it really cut like a razor. In only a way that DL Hughley can do that.
No doubt. Well, I'm gonna say something, and we don't need to even get into religion or any of that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say something, and this has been on my heart and in my head, and I'm just gonna say it out loud, and then we'll go on to the next subject.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Göbekli Tepe?
I'm not.
Okay, so in South America, they found a fucking castle that's built under a mountain that predates the oldest artifacts and tools. To get even more crazy, architects right now are digging this motherfucker up, and these, with the whatever tests they're using, the columns up and down the front of this thing that's underneath the mountain that predates tools of the Old Testament have pictures of people worshiping up with their riding, looking like they're riding on some sort of a spaceship. Now, I am not going to in the least bit start questioning religion. All I'm saying is I was raised where the guy would, and I mean, it might have even been because the approach was wrong, but he would get up there and he would say, this is the only thing on earth that's perfect. This is the infallible word. Nothing on this word, nothing in this book is wrong. And then all of a sudden, dates start lining up that predate. This temple is over 25,000 years old. That predates the Old Testament. That predates Job. So it doesn't matter what you believe. All I'm saying is I go to my pastor, who's my best friend, and I said, man, listen, things aren't lining up. You know, and he was like, yeah, you know, there's some date issues apparently. And I'm like, but I can't break through to you because this is your whole life. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know, and I just stepped back. I said, you know what?
That's one of the reasons why I live, you know, as a discussion point, I do refrain from religion. Now, in my comedy, I've been kind of poking fun at it a little bit more because to me, in comedy, nothing's safe, you know. So, you know, I was messing with some coworkers the other day, and I was telling them, if God wrote the Bible, how come we never seen His handwriting? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it goes so far beyond.
You know, I think God was a gossiper. You ever get one of them text messages that said, the Lord told me to tell you to send this to 5 people? That means God was talking behind your back.
Right. That's funny. So, like I said, you know, so I just kind of, I'm a huge fan of comedy, and one of my favorites is Bill Burr. And when he did the joke where he said he just let it go, he says he let it go like The Rock in that awkward time in curling, and he goes, he just and he goes, and on the third day, he does that with the microphone. It's classic. It's a great bit. But the point is so I'm just at a point right now where I'm trying to pass people, connect people. I'm trying to do this thing, not because, I mean, it's obvious. You see I didn't make a ton of money tonight. Promoter's life, baby. So the thing about it is tonight was on me, but I'm trying to get these people to connect so that there are opportunities that are made for people. And then I always say the next Jay Chappelle's going to come from somewhere. The next Joe Rogan's going to come from somewhere. And when they do, I hope that they'll come back around and catch up with us on the interview. But before we get done with it, because I still have more things that I'm interested in, outside of the discussion of the word urban and stuff, and I totally dig that, and outside of the fact that you're self-inspired, and you're working on the YouTube channel, at Loose Cannon on YouTube, subscribe, like.
Comedian Loose Cannon on YouTube.
Cannon.
Also Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, Comedian Loose Cannon, you know, so.
So, do you have any hustles, any things that you're getting ready to bring up that you're going to be promoting?
Yeah, at this point,
a clothing line, cologne.
At this point in time, those are not aspirations of mine. At this particular point in time, right now, I just want to do, as far as comedy, I want to start branching out of the state more and fit, you know, because. Only places I've been to, you know, a lot of the hot spots in the state already, with the exception of like maybe Tallahassee and Jacksonville and Miami. You know, I've been north to south from Gainesville to Fort Lauderdale. I've been east to west from Daytona Beach down
but always in
Tampa. Odessa, and I've been outside. I've done a little stand up outside the state too. So I want to get outside the state more. I want to travel more. That's an aspiration of mine.
Well, you know, one thing that I'm getting ready to try real quick, and then I'll let you get on to the next thought, because this is what I do. I just salt and pepper in a little bit. Shout out David Jolly, who, I'll be real with you, I went and saw him. He headlined. I featured for him in Lakeland. And I was supposed to headline, and he came in and he was like, "Yeah, play. I just want to make sure you want me to open for you, because I'm finna get crazy." So, and the thing about Dave Jolly, man, and I used to always think he was just a clunky drunk, but when he goes to perform for money, he's actually not as clunky, or maybe he's made some bad decisions, learned from his mistakes. But you know what? He and I were talking, and he was telling me this thing, and this is just, I'm throwing this out, and then we'll get back to where you were at. He said that. He's like, yo, man, you know, I got all these gigs out there in Atlanta and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, really? Where you got? She said, he goes, nah, I just started sending my shit directly to these smaller comedy clubs. He said he just got his little video and started sending the shit to him and just sending and sending. And all of a sudden, and I mean, I don't know, it's kind of like shit like Diamond. Like he's getting his stuff out there and he's doing these gigs, little shit like what we're doing. But he'll maybe get like some guy, like he was explaining to me, in some side road of Georgia, not Atlanta, but like some shit off to the side. Dude had three clubs, 3 nights, and it was like, a few $100, and he was back in town by Sunday night. So the thing is like I said, but just by putting it out there, just sending it out there, because I'm looking at maybe going up. I'm kind of fucking with what you're saying. Zobo just went. Shout out Zobo out of Tampa. He just went and did a little comedy contest at Comedy Zone in Charlotte, North Carolina, and made it through the first heat. And I don't know what happened next. I don't know if they got it through. I didn't see anything, so probably they didn't. But the point is they got out there. I'm looking to get move a little bit too, and just see what's out there and do a little vlogging. That's fun, and that kind of shit. So continue what you were saying as far as what's next for you.
Yeah, well, I want to travel a little bit more with my comedy and keep it growing, because comedy is really turning out to be a successful business for me. I once I took it seriously, I paid to take a comedy course.
You want to talk about that?
And I just took a course at Orlando Improv, and Carmen Valone was the instructor.
Shout out Carmen.
And I felt like he was he did a great job of really kind of teaching just some of the fundamentals of comedy.
Do you believe that a person that would be a good thing to get into?
I believe that some people they just they don't feel it necessary, and that's on them. Some people just feel the need to crash and burn.
You took right to it.
Yeah, I feel like once I went to a few sessions of the course, and we went through the exercises and stuff, and I realized how I figured out how I wanted my I try to focus on laughs per minute, right? Because I understand that people's attention span is this short,
right.
So you pay some money, especially if you brought your old lady or lady friend with you, you done bought your ticket and hers,
right?
You're there, and it's like
machine gun, that's for sure.
Yeah, you want last on demand. It's like, okay, gotta be funny. If you got to wait 10 minutes for me to get to a punch,
right? That's my problem.
You're not interested anymore.
Right.
So I try to get you really fast, and then I try to keep getting you and over and over and over, and I really try to make an effort to focus on laughs per minute. That way, you're not sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting
right.
for the next laugh. It's coming at you. All you gotta do is be paying attention.
Yeah, you assault them, that's for sure. That's one of the things I love about your comedy is you machine gun.
Yeah.
So that's good stuff.
And I mean, a lot of comics don't appreciate it, but fortunately for me, I don't write a lot of jokes for a lot of comics.
Well, the thing is like that doesn't even register. I get it.
But here's my belief. I'm one reason why I'm confident in what I do is I recognize that the ultimate burden of proof for a comic's ability is with the audience.
Right.
So if you're going, if you're traveling out city to city to city, and your overall reaction is positive, then you're doing well.
Right.
You're doing well. You're outside of the business, but as far as the art, you're doing well. Because I feel like the people that are going to critique you the hardest and most are your fellow comics.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt.
So,
is there any other thoughts you got before we do the message to the universe? I'll break that down for you in just a second.
Yeah, please do. That sounded like some real strange stuff going on. Nah, man. Like I got to constantly hammer and promote my YouTube channel, Comedian Loose Cannon.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about quite a few things. Is there anything else you feel like people should know about old Comedian Loose Cannon?
Well, I mean, let's see. We got the who, we got the where, who, what, we got the where, why. Why did you get into comedy? Because
people always wanted me to do comedy, right. And then finally, I just I really one of the pivotal moments for me where it was like an epiphany. One day I was sitting with my mom, and we were talking about some things and some plans I had. And she looked at me. She said, "Something I always wanted you to do." I was like, "What's that, Mom?" I always wanted you to do stand-up comedy. You used to talk to me about it and used to practice your jokes on me, and you just seemed so passionate about it. And so, that's one of the things that kind of, a few months later after she told me that, I saw the flyer for the class, and that's one of the things that kind of inspired me to take the class and really start taking this thing seriously, and really start sitting down and writing material, if you will, for myself and for my own style, that fits me. Once I learned the techniques and got the tools to where I can have a style that works for me, I went ahead and I've been going strong at it, and a lot of people really do enjoy my comedy. It's for me, I'm self-inspired, but one thing that also inspires me is the audience. A lot of people, I've been criticized for certain jokes, but at the same time, I've had audience members come up to me after a show and compliment me on those very same jokes that I've been criticized.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's all in. Listen, I'm the first one that says anything goes.
And from a business standpoint, once you get enough people to loyally follow you,
right,
and build a national audience, then you could always work. Because you can always work. You can either book yourself or somebody pay you because you're a franchise. You're that Subway.
Right.
On the corner lot.
Excellent come back around. I like that. So the message to the universe is this. If things keep moving progressively forward and nothing happens to us, these episodes will compile, and Joe Rogan, my guru, I talk about this every time, has almost 1,100 episodes now in the books from almost 10 years ago till now. You can go right now and type in 001 or 1 and start watching it. So the thing is I came up with the idea that at the end of every episode, I let everybody take a moment and just give a message to the universe that this is going to be archived in this episode, and then people will be able to come back to it if things progressively move forward and nothing horrible happens. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years.
Yeah.
And you'll be at this point.
I like that. I received that. People be able to see that, I did this interview with you under these bright lights. These lights here are so bright, man, right? Last time I saw lights this bright, I was afraid to reach for my driver's license. And it was right here in Marion County.
I know. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you hanging in with us and letting these bright lights bright. So it's the future, man. That's what this is. This represents the future.
Yes.
So what normally happens What normally happens is after you're done with the message, you're going to have an open invitation if you have something to promote, whatever. This is no time stamp. So when you come back and let's say, hey, Alex, in 6 weeks I have something going on, no problem. Come back in. I'll leapfrog that episode up so that way we can book it for a date.
At some point, I'm going to actually put together a comedy album. I would like to get back into music again, but the trick is finding... for lack of a better way to describe it, competent engineers.
Sure.
But if I could get that going, I would like to, for those of you that are watching this and you remember, songs like "Shake It Like a Church Fan," I would like to do that over again, and because that could be. I would do it as comedian loose cannon, because imagine if I got me a song on the Billboard chart that's on Vivo, and I can go on tour on the weekend and play the comedy clubs on Wednesday nights, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So, there's a lot of things I'd like to do, but eventually, hopefully this year I'll come out with a comedy album that a lot of people would like and would like to listen to, and I can come back and promote it right here.
Perfect.
On the Articulate Barbarian podcast.
Well, we'll wrap up as soon as you're done with the message to the universe. And one last note, what normally happens is you'll be coming back around, you'll be thinking about it, I'll get a text or you'll call me and be like, look, next time I come in for the interview, I got something for your ass on that message to the universe because I thought about it. But for now, give a message. If you want to tell something to the world today, if you want to tell something to the world 1,000 years from now, just let the world know something. The universe, this is their message to the universe. I'm archiving it. If 100 years from now, there'll be hopefully thousands and thousands of these messages archived.
Well, I'm a pretty simple man, you know, and like I say, I'm self-inspired, but I'm inspired by, you know, the audience, and I'm always grateful. And I just would like to thank the people that follow me now, and for all the ones that haven't discovered me yet but are gonna, you know, soon become followers. I would like to thank you too. You know, so I'm gonna just you know, keep it short and sweet, just like that. I would just my message to the universe will just be thanks, you know, because I really do appreciate every individual person that is willing to come out and see me tell jokes live on stage, or, you know, people that bump into me and say, hey, I saw you on YouTube, or I saw you on social media. I really appreciate all that stuff. I really do. So my message is thanks. I'm always grateful, and I'm never gonna be too big to show love to the people that show me love.
All right.
Yeah.
2:05 in the morning, ladies and gentlemen. That's called grinding. We did a set, we did a show, and now he interviewed in the podcast.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna take this guy to
He not high, that's sleep. That's why his eyes are so
Oh, I'm high as a fucking kite. I got my medical marijuana. So we're gonna go, I'm gonna drive you to I-75.
Yeah, don't put my business out there on camera now.
No, this is complicated. I don't want you to get lost this time of night.
Oh yeah.
So I'm only down the street, so I'll just help you get over there.
All right, well, that's what we got going on.
Sneak me an ice cream. It's on my cheat day. Love, peace, chicken grease, bitches. We out. Holla. All right, man.
I appreciate it, man.
And I'll get this cut.